It is simply known as the Ironman, but it means so much to the men and women that dedicate themselves to taking on the most difficult single-day endurance event in the world. The location, Panama City Beach, Florida. Coming here to tackle the distance is perhaps the easiest part of the equation. It is the mental aspect that is often unattainable. How do you push yourself past the relentless desire to stop? That is the question. But who will have the answer on this day? From Panama City Beach, we welcome you to the 2006 Ironman, Florida. Hello everyone, I'm Vic Rauter. You know, these distances have become legendary. The 2.4-mile swim, 112-mile bike, followed by a marathon. Each discipline a challenge on its own. Combined, it's almost unimaginable. Scott Johnson has attempted to do the unimaginable twice, both times coming up short. But then again, Scott Johnson is not one to give up. The Ironman has become legendary for attracting dreamers. People from all walks of life who not only believe anything is possible, but prove it. Dreams, like the people who chase them, come in all sizes. For Scott Johnson, who suffers from cystic fibrosis, his was merely to breathe.
Every breath to me is truly a gift. Because I know that at this point in my life, I was not guaranteed everything that I've had so far. I should have passed away when I was 29. So every breath that I take, whether it's just when I'm waking up in the morning or when I'm doing a long ride, it's truly special to me, and I don't take it for granted at all. It was a struggle to breathe every day. I sounded like I had smoked most of my life, the way I coughed. It's just like trying to breathe through a straw. And it truly is. And towards the end there, it was not even a straw for me. It was more like a coffee stirrer, trying to breathe through that.
While diagnosed with CF at the age of 3 months, Scott managed to live a relatively normal, active childhood, participating in baseball, soccer, and even running. However, as an adult, the disease, it would finally catch up with him.
When I was 29 was when things started going downhill fairly rapidly. I went on full-time oxygen, kept working, bounced in and out of the hospital that year. And then finally the weekend after July 4th of 2001, I went into the hospital for the last time because I was on so much oxygen that it couldn't be supported at home. When I was in the hospital, my doctors told me it was basically a race between my lungs and my heart, which was going to give out first because my lungs weren't absorbing enough oxygen, so therefore my heart was working double, triple overtime and was beating about 175 beats per minute for about 2 weeks.
With time running out and little keeping Johnson alive outside of sheer will, the doctors had to scramble to find a donor.
It was going to be one of those things where I was just going to have to die suddenly because I wasn't going to give up, and I was going to cling to every moment of life that I had. Even if my transplant didn't take and I only lived maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes afterwards, that would have been the best 10 minutes or 15 minutes of my life. Fortunately, I was able to hold on, and September 15th was my second birthday. And I got 2 healthy lungs. The doctor said they had never seen lungs this pink, and it was phenomenal.
True to form, Scott never stopped dreaming. While in hospital fighting for his life, he made a list of things that he hoped to accomplish. On that list, to complete just 1 triathlon. 5 years later, well, he's completed several, but Ironman, Florida marks his 3rd attempt to complete the Ironman distances.
My first attempt in New Zealand, I messed up my nutrition, and Florida last year got hurt. And this year, it's going to be hard, but at the same time, I think it's going to be really fun. And that's how I was approaching this race the whole year this year. You know, just go out there and have fun. You know, you've got 17 hours. It takes you 16 hours and 59 minutes. You got the most for your money, you know? And I don't know, I'm just really ready to get started and to finish this thing.
So Scott Johnson and the other participants are set, and we're underway now from Panama City. the 2006 Ironman Florida, and pleased to be joined by former Ironman champion Lisa Bentley, coming off a third-place finish at the Ironman World Championship. Congratulations. It is a colder day here, north shore of the Gulf of Mexico. Talk about a start like this, a mass start.
The nerves are going to be just rattled right now. You can see some people are slowly wading into the ocean. There's some current. They have to get through some of the breakers first. So there's no question that this is a very challenging part. There's a lot of first-timers in this race, and they'll be a bit nervous right now.
And we talked about the challenges of somebody like Scott Johnson. You know about that challenge because you suffer from CF.
I do suffer from it. Certainly not as severely as Scott Johnson does. I certainly don't need to be having any double lung transplants anytime too soon. Scott is a testament to the research that has been done for cystic fibrosis, and he really is a miracle in the making.
The professionals look to the waters of the Gulf, of course. They will complete the first of two 1.2-mile loops, and some of the bigger names include a fellow Canadian, and that's Heather Feuer.
Heather Feuer is a tremendous athlete. She has so many Ironman victories. Anytime she gets to the start line, she is a threat to win the race.
Lisa, there are also a very strong group of American women. They're led by Hillary Biscay out of Manhattan Beach, California.
Hillary has had an outstanding season this year. She has raced in 5 Ironman races and placed top 5 in all those races, with her best performance at Ironman Arizona, where she placed second.
Most successful, though, Scotland's Bella Comerford. 3 titles in the past 4 years, including a win here last year.
Bella always shows up here ready to race. She's on a roll. She wants to go for that victory again.
As for the men, well, it's Germany's Lothar Leder and Great Britain's Spencer Smith, and they are the ones that everyone is talking about.
Lothar Leder is really the class of the field. He has 8 Ironman titles, and he is one of only 5 men to have gone sub 8 hours at the Ironman distance.
And then there's Spencer Smith, who has had success at both long and short course triathlons. He is a 2-time Olympic distance world champion, along with a 2-time Ironman champion, taking the title here at the Ironman Florida in 2001. Maybe a bit of a surprise, the first out of the water is Jan Raphael from Germany. His first attempt at the Ironman, and halfway through followed closely. That's the man with no cap on. That's Britain's Spencer Smith. This is a little different because the 2 loops force you to come out onto the beach and then go back again.
This is really a tough part of the triathlon because you've been swimming and all the blood's in your upper body from the swimming, and then all of a sudden you're running on the beach, and running just drives your heart rate through the roofs. This is really quite challenging. Now Spencer Smith is in a great position because he has the opportunity to draft off of the 2 men ahead of him.
May sound like a simple question, but is it easier to swim in the ocean? And I'm thinking because of the saltwater buoyancy.
Well, definitely the saltwater buoyancy lifts up your legs and keeps you more buoyant. But the tough part is getting through the chop when you have to re-enter the water, because you have to get through those waves as you re-enter. So the ocean is nice for the buoyancy, but there tends to be more currents in chop.
Do you still draft here in the ocean, as you might say, in a lake?
Absolutely, you're going to draft in the ocean. Again, the only trouble is a wave might move you way off to the side, and you might lose those feet that you're desperately trying to stay on.
Lisa, we've already seen some of the men out of the water. Now the first of the women are completing their first loop.
Andrea Fisher's leading the women out for the first loop. She's always been a top swimmer. She used to swim for the University of Texas, and she's out there in the lead group. And closely behind her is Carol Sharpless. And right there we see Hillary Biscay in 3rd place right now for the women.
Lisa, also out of the water is the defending champion, Bella Comerford. She's from Scotland, but most people wondering where she is, and this is her. This is Heather Feuer, 3.5 minutes back from Canada at the age of 38. Many believe she still is the one to beat.
She is definitely the one to beat. She has most Ironman victories. She's the best runner in the field, if not the best runner in Ironman racing worldwide. And she'll be happy to be out of the water there, and now she's diving back in for her 2nd lap, and she'll do her best to stay close.
And maybe thankful she didn't turn an ankle. This is the 2006 edition of Ironman Florida on TSN, Canada's sports leader.